Doctors.
All right, I see.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Doctor, doctor.
Welcome to Doctor podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Dr. Kwanza Falaka. I am joined by Dr. Montgomery and Dr. Nia. Just a little bit about this podcast, and you'll learn a lot more as we go along. This is a podcast where we'll come together to discuss topics related to health, humanity, and healing. And today, since it's our first show, we just want you guys to get to know us. So we're going to kick off with an introduction of who the doctors are. We're going to let you know what you can expect from this podcast. And then we're also going to answer some questions. So to start it off, I'm going to kick it over to Dr. Montgomery. Introduce yourself, Dr. Montgomery.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Bridget Montgomery, licensed clinical social worker, and I do all things social work, clinically speaking, that is. Who am I? So I am the founder and owner of Bridge of Love 2 LLC, which is a mental and behavioral health practice. I got my doctorate actually in leadership and education with a social work perspective. What perspective will I be bringing to Doctor as a clinical social worker, a practitioner, trauma expert? I'll be bringing pretty much the perspective where we are looking at providing interventions, tools, or some type of feedback for any individual that might have some questions that might bring things to the table, and just that's the perspective that I'll be bringing. My relationship to these wonderful, beautiful doctors here. I have my big doctor cousin, that would be Dr. Kwanza Falaka, and my baby doctor cousin, I call her baby doctor cousin, and that would be Dr. Nia. So we are two generations. Yeah, that's two generations.
Two generations, yes.
Two generations of doctors. And I'm so excited to be here today and see where this is going to take us. I am now going to kick this over to Dr. Baby Cousin Nia.
Hey everyone. So you're probably going to hear multiple variants of my name, including Dr. Nia, Dr. Baby Cousin, and Dr. Baby Girl, because I am the baby of the bunch. So
yes.
I have my wonderful mother, Dr. Kwanza Falaka, and my wonderful cousin, Dr. Montgomery. So that was my relationship. Why I started off there, I don't know. But again, my name is Dr. Nia. I actually got my doctorate in cognitive psychology. So that's really just the study of how we think, and just I guess cognition in general. So we think about memory, attention, different aspects like that. So I really like to think about just human behavior from that perspective. And I hope to kind of add that perspective to this talk and whatnot. So really just talk about what do humans typically do? What do we typically lean towards? Hopefully kind of just explain some of the underlying, I guess, phenomenon behind behaviors that we see in different people and whatnot. I used to be an instructor, so I always like to tell my students that like we're cognitive beings, but we're also superior cognitive beings, so we're always able to override our cognition, and that could be as simple as memory is limited, but we know how to take notes and whatnot, so we can remember more. So I really like to bring in that perspective too. Is just like, yes, this is what we're leaning towards doing. This is what humans typically do, but that's not what we're limited by in any sense. So that's the perspective I really hope to add. And again, I'm just super, super excited to, hang out and just kind of build some relationships with my family and just have this time to chat together and some intellectual conversations. So that's, I guess, also selfishly, that's what I want to pull from these things as well. But if you guys enjoy it, even better. So yeah.
I love that intellectual conversation. That's what it's all about. And I am Dr. Kwanza Falaka. I am the mother of Dr. Nia and the big cousin of Dr. Montgomery. So I'm the old head of the bunch, but not by much, Dr. Montgomery. So
not that much.
Yeah, not by much, but nonetheless, I will try to not try to be the the mother of the crew, and really respect everybody as peers. So even if I'm going to try not to say Dr. Baby Girl, even though that's how I address her, but in this space, I'll try not to say that because she is my peer in this space and she is incredibly intelligent. So I look forward to learning from her, as well as Dr. Montgomery. Look forward to learning from these ladies. You guys are in for a treat, honestly. Because they're so dynamic and the work that they do is just beautiful. And like I said, I'm Dr. Kwanza Falaka. I received my PhD in humanities. So I like to think, I consider myself a heart doctor. When I think about being a doctor of humanities, I think about how we relate to the human experience and everything that ties into the human experience, everything from culture to religion to family dynamics to tradition, all of those things. So we'll talk about topics and how often kind of give that human perspective, which may not feel as enlightened as Dr. Montgomery or Dr. Nia, but is definitely enlightened because I think the heart is really, where everything starts. It's like that heart, that mind, that connection. And so when we talk about heart, or we talk about health, healing, and humanities, I am the humanities part of that. Although I think we all are learned enough that will contribute to one another's conversation. So that's exciting. Yeah, I think that's it. The perspective I'll be adding again is the humanities perspective. Told you what I got my doctorate in. But I want to talk about, just to kind of kick things off, since this is the first session and we want you guys to get to know us, I want to share a little bit of why or how we started this podcast. So last year in April, the three of us were in the DR celebrating my son, Nia's brother, Dr. Montgomery's cousin, his wedding. And we found ourselves on the beach in the DR, and it was like 3 DRs in the DR. And we were like, had this video recording, and I wanted to share it with you guys. It was a little grainy, so eventually I'll share it. I'm going to try and clean it up, but eventually I'll share it, and it may even become a part of our introduction. But nonetheless, we found ourselves on the beach one night, sipping a few cocktails and just having a good key. And we just, kind of addressed each other. It was like, doctor, 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 doctor. And it was just so much fun. And we were laughing all the way. So that's how that kind of the nucleus of just the three of us and the phenomenon of the three of us getting our doctorate degrees within the same span time. I think Dr. Montgomery got hers first. I think she and Dr. Nia graduated together in 2022. Yes. And I got mine followed up a year later in 2023. And I'm sure we'll have a podcast. We have to talk about like the whole process of getting a doctorate. That's probably going to be a great topic to talk about, right? So add that to the list. So that's kind of,
they got that already.
Yes. And then I guess a couple of months ago now, I was driving into work and had the big bang idea to say, hey, this would be I thought initially a book. Then I called Dr. Nia first, and she was like, oh, this would be a great podcast too. I was like, that's even better because that's something that's more immediate and will help influence the book. And I called Dr. Montgomery like 8:00 in the morning. She was like, bet, that sounds perfect. I've been wanting to do something. And of course, we've all talked about collaborating together, and this is the perfect opportunity to do that. And so that's kind of how we got started. And fun fact, so like I said, Dr. Montgomery is my cousin. So she is the first doctor, right, on our maternal side. That's where we're connected on our maternal side. I am the first doctor on my paternal side, and Dr. Nia is the first doctor on her paternal side and maternal side because my husband is her dad and her father, and so it all comes together. So we are each kind of creating history a little bit for our generations and the generations to come. So I think that's pretty cool and pretty exciting. So Dr. Montgomery, I know you wanted to talk about the purpose of the podcast. So you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. So just for a few minutes, the purpose for this podcast after, our coming together and meeting and discussing and talking about, what we're looking at and the 3 different perspectives coming together. Just want to give you all just kind of it's going to be a little bit more professionally stated in that in this vein. But again, just because this is our introduction and this is our first setting, I just want to give you an understanding of what it is that we're looking at doing. So the purpose of the podcast is pretty much to help foster like a deeper understanding of a holistic healing perspective,
Yeah.
by blending the three different perspectives, coming from Dr. Nia, Dr. Kwanza, and myself. So we hope to create a supportive space where our listeners and viewers can pretty much explore the philosophical foundation, Dr. Kwanza, and the mental and the emotional well-being, Dr. Nia, and then gain some practical tools for personal growth, which would hopefully I can add in that perspective as well, and engage in meaningful conversation that's going to promote pretty much happiness and fulfillment. So here's the explanation of that holistic approach, the diverse perspectives, us engaging together, and just the accessibility of just being able to come together and talk about on this platform, the insight that we hope to bring, and just building cohesiveness and some community. So with the whole holistic approach, we kind of like hold these beliefs that, in order for health and wellness to be a holistic, you want to take that mental, emotional, physical, and pure spiritual perspective. Our discussions, we hope to gain or integrate all of this together and just give you that full view of where we're coming from. The diverse perspective, as we already talked about, that Dr. Kawanza gave in her opening and Dr. Nia gave in her opening, by bringing all of our voices together, the philosophical, the psychological, and the human behavior or the social work component. We hope to provide you with a rich tapestry of ideas that can resonate with everyone, a broad audience. So we want to be able to reach, all age groups, all, race, culture, hopefully that we can do that in here. And with this diversity, enrich our conversation to allow everyone to find something that they can relate to and gain some insight from. We prioritize making this concept. We're going to prioritize making this concept of the three perspectives very understandable and engaging. It's going to be a conversation that I don't like big words, It doesn't mean that I don't understand them, that I can't say them, that I can't read them. It just really doesn't really serve a purpose here. So we want to be able to, what we know, in terms of our professionalism, be able to take those terminology and break that down for you, the listeners, the viewers, those who will be participating, and help you understand whatever it is that you bring to us. And if we can't give it to you in that moment, then we'll be able to come back to you with it. But we want to make sure that you have a clear and a really good understanding of what we're talking about when it comes to health and wellness. The actionable insight. So each episode, we hope we're looking to design to equip you all with practical strategies, right? And tips that you can take away and incorporate into your life. Like, we're not doing no therapy, so we're not going to be, don't come here looking for that. That is not what we're doing here. But just throughout the conversation, just talking and sharing. And hopefully you'll bring in some things that we also can learn from too. And, just kind of like strategize together. This is not a space for you to walk away with therapy, interventions in that term.
Right.
We think that you should kind of take that to your own individual and your personal therapist. But we will be hopefully just be able to get some fun, practical life tips and different things that you can walk away with. And then that community building, just a place to come and talk and laugh, tell stories, have fun. And with that, walk away. Again, the whole idea is just being able to walk away lighter, happier,
Mhm.
more fulfilled, with an idea of, with some different ideals coming from three very different perspectives. So we hope to inspire you, empower you, and you can walk away embracing a different holistic approach to health and wellness, mental health and wellness. That's all I have. And so I think I am supposed to kick this over to who's next.
Me.
Dr. Nia.
Dr. Nia. All right.
So beautiful. I feel like I'm going to re-listen to that. I can like orient again. Like this is what we're here for. I love that. But I'm going to actually just talk about some like the little different like podcast segments that we're going to have. And of course, these are things that we might iron out as time goes on. But we had two ideas that we came up so far just to kind of mark the beginning of our show and the end of our show. So one of the first segments that we're going to do, of course, we didn't do it this week, but I'm calling it right now Story Time with Dr. ... And pretty much one of us will end up, sharing like a personal story or anecdote from our life on whatever the topic is. So it would definitely rotate between all of us, whoever kind of has like, and maybe if we both like multiple of us have a really good story related to the topic, you'll likely hear a lot of it, but that would just be a way of kind of kicking off each of these sessions. So it's something that's kind of relatable, something that just allows us to kind of also kick off our energy and kind of have a little bit of fun as we're, starting these conversations, and kind of giving us even a launching point of like what we might even decide to cover related to that topic and whatnot. So that's going to be like a really, really fun way of just starting off our podcast. And then we also are going to have like our little outro that we have, which I'm calling, "What is your thesis statement?" I don't know if that's super on the nose, but we all did write. I didn't use the word dissertation, so I thought that was like, I calmed it down a little bit. So,
I like thesis. That's good.
I was like,
panicked a little bit when I saw thesis. I'm like, okay.
I know. Triggered.
Bring you guys back into that space,
Right.
like just in case. But yeah. But of course, like, going back to our schooling days, we can remember that the thesis statement is kind of like at the very beginning of your paper, like what is like the big summary sentence that is like, if you walk away from this, what is kind of like the argument that a person should be convinced of by the end of your paper. And of course, we're going to talk about all of our factoids first, and then we'll kind of get into our thesis statement at the end. But I just thought it would be a fun way to kind of summarize it, again, from each of our unique perspectives, just what we would like the audience to kind of take away. If there's like one little statement you could even journal about after this to kind of be like, I want to think about this more. We just want to give you like 3, again, unique thesis statements or perspectives that you guys can kind of walk away with. So we're hoping both of those segments will be really cool. We will do the "What is your thesis statement" for today's, and we'll just see how that goes, because like, again, kind of intro, but way.
I know, I'm already thinking.
You guys like, you will be graded. I know
Oh,
no. Patient. Like no. But for this next part, I'm actually going to hand it back over to Dr. Montgomery, and we're going to ask each other some questions. So go ahead, Montgomery.
Oh, me again?
Yeah.
Right back at
you. So where are we at?
The round robin questions, do you have that?
Let me know, because
I do. I think I missed that one.
Oh no.
That's okay.
If you don't, I can pull them up.
Go ahead. If you don't mind pulling that one up.
Say again.
If you don't mind.
Okay, sure. So I'll just ask the first question, and I'll throw that to Dr. Nia. It says, why did you decide to pursue a PhD?
It's funny. I think I wrote that one. Well, maybe I didn't, but I didn't think about the answer before you asked it. So that's fun. But I know the reason I personally decided to pursue a PhD. I ended up doing mine right after my undergraduate degree. And at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I liked research and I knew I liked psychology. So I kind of just, and I always used to tell my students that advice. I just kind of went with life with what I knew at that moment. And I was like, I'm just going to be led by this one small like rock or like nugget of, I guess, purpose that I know for myself. So PhD was like the best path for that, because there are, options to kind of, get TA-ships and other ways of kind of funding yourself through a PhD, or even, getting given grants and fellowships and whatnot. So being a college student, I absolutely needed all the financial options as possible to make sure I could pursue that path. So it just seemed like a really kind of like the natural step, at least for my life. So I was like, I want to make sure I do some research. I wanted to be psychology related. I want something that I can get more money than I was making as an undergrad, which was really anything would be exciting. And so it was a good state of my life to like, I'm going to go into a PhD program. And that was the main thing. And then I kind of just, allowed that to take me to where I am now. And we'll probably get into that more later. But yeah, that's why I ended up pursuing my PhD. And I can ask that question. I'll ask it to Dr. Montgomery next, if that's fine. So Dr. Montgomery, why did you get a PhD?
Well, that's fine, Dr. Nia. So this question is really, really, really personal for me. And it was destined to happen. It was supposed to happen, mostly because of my story. And so I grew up in West Philadelphia, and it wasn't always easy. Let's just say that. It wasn't always easy for me academically. And no matter which school I went to, grade school, middle school, high school, I always had an educator, a teacher, tell me that I wasn't smart enough. They actually used those words. And so it was really a challenge for me to kind of get through school. And I honestly didn't think that I would go to college. My SAT scores, I remember clearly 301 and 501. And with those two scores, I was, again, basically told that I couldn't go to college. Nevertheless, I applied and I had to go through what we called a PACE program in the beginning. And so I only had a week from high school to college. I had a week off and I ended up headed to Milledgeville University. And I did the PACE program, so it was all summer. And then I had a week off in between the PACE program and the actual semester, the fall semester. The PACE program was pretty much for students who struggle academically. They prepared us with 0-level courses. We had counselors, different people that was there design. They were there designed to kind of help us understand college living, college life, and just to kind of just assess to see if we can handle being, on a university. Well, I got through the summer barely, got through the first semester with all C's, and then the second semester was put on academic probation, and I had no other choice. If I didn't make it through my second year as a freshman, that was the end of my academic career. And so I pulled my grades up. And I ended up with 3 B's and a C, and they allowed me to stay. That was really hard to do. And from that moment on, I never looked back. It didn't help with kind of like getting to graduation as a senior. But again, I had another professor, rest her soul, that told me that I couldn't go to master's school. Get my master's degree and move on to my master's program. Well, I have 3 masters, one in social work, one in education, and one in nonprofit. So every time someone tell me no and I can't, I'm going to do it. My first professional job, I applied for my doctorate, and I applied to University of Penn, University of Maryland, and it was one other I can't really remember. I still have those letters to this day, and all 3 of those letters said the same thing. They were waiting on one person's recommendation. That person never sent in her recommendation, so I never got an opportunity to even know if I was able to get into my doctorate. Long story short, or long story long, I went on to pursue what God told me to do. And yeah, I know I just said God, but I went on to pursue what God told me to do. And right before my 7th year owning my practice, I decided I need to go back. And so I applied and it was important for me to go back to the university that told me that I couldn't do it. And it was really important that I went back. When I ended my career, I was going to be called Dr. Montgomery by the university that told me that I couldn't do it. Here I am, Dr. Montgomery.
I love that. I love that.
The university.
That is deep, girl. You had
I know.
Right?
Were the first to call me Dr. Montgomery.
I love that.
Yeah. That's why I pursued, but I'm a lifelong learner. If I could close that out, I am a lifelong learner. And so education is important to me. It is at the top of my list. The one thing no one can ever take from you is what you know. And so for me, that means more to me than anything. So
Ooh.
I'm going to kick this over to Dr. Kwanza and ask, Doc, why did you pursue your PhD?
Well, like yourself, I really, I do consider myself a lifelong learner. I love learning. And I always knew I wanted to get a PhD. I just didn't know in what. My academic background is in communications, public relations, specifically advertising, marketing. But I always really appreciated the communications part of it all. In addition to that, I also am a licensed minister, but I knew that I didn't want to get my PhD in ministry. And then I'm a creative and there's like a lot going on here. So I'm just like all over the place a little bit. And so when I came across this program to get a PhD in humanities, I had never even considered that. I thought that I would have to like pick something. But when I came across this program to get my PhD in humanities, I was really excited. And it checked everything that I wanted to do. Like in that season, I was really just like wanting to just be my whole self. And I didn't want to have to separate the ministry side from the creative side, from the ethereal side. Like I wanted to be able to combine all of that. And so coming across a PhD in humanities really allowed me to do that. So as you know, humanities covers everything. It covers history, it covers art, it covers religion, it covers communications, it covers social systems, like it covers everything. And so I really appreciated the holistic approach of a humanities degree. But it was something that I always knew that I wanted. I'm grateful that I didn't just jump into to something. I think a few years prior, I had started just applying to different things because I thought that I needed to get it in ministry because I have a nonprofit, and I thought that it would underpin the authenticity of that nonprofit, which is a faith-based nonprofit. But I just really, in my heart, that wasn't what I wanted to do. And so this program actually found me. Email just popped in my inbox. And I was, I kind of was like, oh, what is that? I had never heard of Faulkner University, which is where I got my PhD through. And once I researched their program, it's called the Great Books Program. So it was really focused on, like, again, everything, like the big questions, the like big philosophical questions about life. How are we influenced by culture? How are we influenced by religion? How do we navigate those things in real time? And so it just covered everything that I was interested in. Went through the process. It is a process to get recommendations. I know for my program, I had to, get 3 letters of recommendations. And I was excited to have, like, my 3 references were 3 Black men who were also PhDs. So that was really cool and inspiring. And I never forget one of my references, Dr. Ferguson. He said, "Remember, this is your program. Don't allow them to steer you away from your program." And it was like finding the people to support me in that, right? And then so when I had to prepare my dissertation and do all those things, my chair was so excited about my dissertation that he kept me motivated. And we'll probably talk more about this, but he kept me motivated during the whole, writing my dissertation process, which was, woo, yeah. So that's pretty much why I started, why I went to, pursue my PhD program. I guess another question, what did you enjoy most about your PhD program? Dr. Nia?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's the skills that I walked away with. And I don't know if I'm just going to say if that's the way I'm going to answer it. But yes, I think it's the skills I walked away with. Because I started off pretty early. So I think it was like a lot of me like developing during my 20s too. So like just my way of like understanding the world. And I think like the biggest thing I like can take away from my dissertation, or I'm sorry, pursuing my PhD is just definitely, I don't know, that we haven't like answered everything as like a human race or whatever. So like, I don't know, there's just like kind of more freedom in there. Cause I feel like when I started, sometimes I would be in class and I'm just like, okay, so what's the like right answer? Like, what's the final thing? Like, what do you want me to write down? And it's kind of like, oh yeah, like, no, this researcher found this and that research found this. And, there's a lot of support for this one and it's a theory. And it's just like, I don't know. I think that always, I definitely like carry that into like the work that I do now. It's just like, I don't know, this is like a little bit of like freedom being like a human, because it's like sometimes I can just make the best educated guess that I can for life. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it kind of like influence how I go about life now. And like I'm way more comfortable with like ambiguity and not
I
knowing like
love
what
that.
the answer is now. So I think that is like the biggest thing. And I don't know, always hard to kind of like express that when you're like interviewing and stuff, because I feel like, but it's just like and maybe that's what I should say is the comfortability with ambiguity, but like just it seems more cooler than that. But just
Right.
like I don't know. I know there's like this little it's like a really simple diagram of like what it means when you get your PhD. So it's just like a circle, and it's like the circle is supposed to encompass all of human knowledge or whatever. And then like you zoom into like a really small part of that circle, and there's like this little bump, and like that's what your dissertation did, because you just like broke through like another piece of human knowledge and added to this huge circle of like
Yes.
everything that we as a human collective knows. So it's kind of cool because like, oh, I just added like to the huge pond of what we as humans know. So I think that was my favorite thing, I guess.
Yeah. I need that diagram.
Maybe I'll try to find it and like
concept mapping. Is that what we're doing here, Dr. Nia?
Yes. I love it.
already with the PowerPoints. I know.
Dr. Kwanza, I think we're going to be in school with Dr. Nia here.
I was looking around. I don't even have my pen. I usually have my pen and paper. So yeah, next time I won't be here without it.
I see all the bubbles and all the lines, and I'm like,
exact. I love that. I'm excited.
All right. It's a really it's one of the ugliest diagrams in the world. So I just want you guys to know, like, I don't want to hype it up too much, but I will show it to you. It is just want you to know it is unimpressive though.
But I think it really, I mean, it really, to your point, and not to jump ahead, but to your point, it really does emphasize the fact that, because people do feel like, oh, you got a PhD, so you know everything about everything. It's like, no, I just took this one piece of topic that I was really interested in and wanted to learn with everybody that I could possibly read what they thought about that topic, right? And then kind of synthesize it and then develop my own philosophy around it. Like that really is what it is. Yeah. So I'm sorry.
Oh, you're so fine. I have a picture of it. Because sorry, I'm transitioning between work, so I don't have my like cute dual. I guess I could have had my cute dual monitor, but like I just finished a job on Friday, so it's like I took everything down like new season. So now I'm like bare bones in my office. I'm like I could have kept that up, but I will try to put the little pictures in there, and maybe by the end, once you guys are finished with your responses, I can throw it back in there just to show you. But I'll play around with the UI to get it in a cute way.
Perfect. So Dr. Montgomery, what about you? What was what did you enjoy most about your PhD program?
Man, I'm trying to keep up with Dr. Nia, looking for my concept. Man, like, hey, I want to throw mine up there too. Look at here, right? So I think you both said two things that kind of triggered. I never knew that I had that gift to do that, but I could write programs in my sleep. And I would wake up and I would write things down. So I'm always writing programs so I can see something and I can visualize it and I can see how it should happen and I can write it that quickly.
So let's be clear about program, because I work in the tech space. So every time I hear program, I'm thinking about like technical program writing, but you're talking about like a literal like a school, what is it, like a lesson plan kind of thing. Like, but it's more than just that, right?
It's a little bit more than just a lesson plan. But if you want to think in terms of a lesson plan and what that's going to look like, goals, objectives, and implementing the steps to how to operate that particular program. They just come to me and I spit them out quite easily. And I think my favorite part of my doctorate program was just that the implementation and intervention research program. And I actually wrote a whole program on about just with social media kind of helping. At the time when I was doing my social media research, everyone wasn't kind of like immersed in doing that, so pulling up the literature and different things like that wasn't a whole lot done. So now everyone's doing it, But at the time, I created a program for what I call digital immigrants, myself and you, Dr. Kwanza, to help us understand and learn the language and stay on top of, you know, the changing landscape in the the digital world. So I think that's what I learned or love most about being in that program. You said something, Dr. Kwanzaa. You said one of the persons, one of the persons that gave you a recommendation said, "This is your program, and don't let them steer that away from you. What's yours is yours." And that was my greatest takeaway. Like for me, it was almost like I came here, like everything that I've accomplished in life, I've accomplished it before I got my doctorate. And so
Right.
what the doctorate did for me is it kind of refined. And I hated the word synthesize. That was one of the words that kept coming to me in the program when I was going through my doctorate program. And now I can't get away from it. And so I see this synthesis and being able to fuse things together and bring it all together. My doctorate is in education and leadership, right? And so it took a business perspective. My master's is in education and nonprofit management, and I am a social worker. So the overarching is a social work doctorate. So it literally synthesized and fused together all three of my masters and my one doctorate. And so that was my greatest takeaway. And it was always about before I take the next step to do anything, that's just who I am. I'm not going to take a step and do anything until I understand it and I learn about it and I can handle it on my own before I take the next step. And then I can delegate out. But if I don't have the knowledge to understand and the intricate workings of what it is that I'm doing, then I can't do anything about it. I hope that makes sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my greatest takeaway. So I fuse and I synthesize.
And fuse and I synthesize. And I'll answer the question too. Nia, Dr. Nia, I see you want to bring it up? Did you want to wait until I finish, or you want to bring it up now? Or
do you want me to do it really fast? I can try it really fast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I know. Let's see how we like this little UI of let's see how this goes. I'm gonna add this to the stage and see if that looks nice. So it's like a really big diagram. I don't think we can like zoom in and stuff like that, but you can see how like each circle so it says this is like all of human knowledge.
Okay.
And you can see, the first circle is like has a little blue dot, and that's supposed to be when we're elementary school students. We all get like a certain baseline of knowledge, and that's probably just like language, different things like that. Then by the time we finish our secondary or like grade high school, all of that, there should be like another layer of knowledge that we're acquiring. So then you go and get your bachelor's, and once again, it's probably like kind of hopefully somewhat mainstream what we're learning there too, as far as like skills and all that. And then we also kind of have like a little bump there because we have like the specialty. So that's like that peach colored one. Then you go on to get your master's, and now you're going even further into that like specialty little area. And then you're learning in your PhD, or just like getting more like knowledge. So now I'm going into all the journal articles that's ever been read about that topic, kind of like, again, as you guys were mentioning earlier. Then at this very tip, you can see that like red little portions start to push out, and at the very end you can see like, oh, that's your PhD, what knowledge you added. And then of course I got the zoom out view to show you like the field of all knowledge. Again, it's a very small area, but we did push the boundary nonetheless. So
I love it.
This is the little thing. And I think the guy's name is like Matt Might. I think that's his book, like The Guide to Getting a PhD or something.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Acknowledgement, because I think that's his thing. But yeah, so.
And that is so real, so real. But I'll tell you, similar to what you were saying, Dr. Montgomery, too, is like finding that thread. That's how I like to describe it. It's like the thread. Like I said, my undergraduate degree was in communications, but the specialty was public relations, advertising, and marketing. And so interestingly about that, we call like trifecta of, of human consumerism, if you will, is this idea of a brand or a business trying to sell something to the public. And so the manipulation, if I can use that word, or persuasion of that is, is what we call like the rhetorical approach. And it was interesting learning about rhetoric from the perspective of public relations, advertising, and marketing. But it was a word that I always was like, I like that word. And so I never forget when I was in my PhD program, again, it was in humanities and you're learning all these different topics. And I remember reading, I think it was Aristotle's rhetoric. And I was like, so crazy enough, it's like when you're doing a PhD in philosophy, you're talking about Aristotle, Machiavelli, Plato, all these big philosophers, and you just really feel ill-equipped to like question what they said about anything. Like that's how I spent maybe my first few semesters, was like, Aristotle says this about love. And I'm thinking like, surely that's what love is if Aristotle is saying that this is what love is, right? And so I remember reading and just seeing this topic about rhetoric, and I just latched onto it because I knew that it was a topic that I was really interested in and something that I really felt like I had something to contribute. And for me, it was kind of like flipping the other side of my undergraduate and my graduate degree, and now looking at it from a different perspective and seeing how that same rhetorical approach, how it impacts humanity, right? And how do we equip, especially young people, because this is what I did my dissertation on, is the rhetoric of, or education and rhetoric is what I did my dissertation on, education and rhetoric from grades K through 12. And my proposal or my presentation was to examine the education system, right, especially here in America, the public school system specifically, and see how do we introduce rhetorical education at the lowest level, right, even starting in grades K. And so just exploring that and looking at the education system and looking at this topic of rhetoric and looking in real time how so much rhetoric is being, especially with social media, like everything was just coming together so beautifully. And I just, just to latch onto that topic and knowing that this is the topic I really want to study. And I knew that, I think probably year 2, that was the approach and the direction that I wanted to go in. I wasn't sure exactly how or, how to pursue it, but I knew that was the direction. So just being able to kind of come into a space where I was super uncomfortable, but then finding that space of comfort, and then really feeling like I was a subject matter expert, like that I'm an expert in this space and I have something of value to say in this space. So that was my favorite part about it. Going into it, not quite sure what it was going to offer or what I would be able to offer to it, but then coming out of it with like this really cool connection to this topic of rhetoric. So that was literally my favorite part about the program.
Nice.
So, of course, on the other side of your favorite part, what was your greatest challenge, Doctor?
Oh, I love that. And again, I feel like when I talk about my PhD, it was like really like during like the majority of my 20s. So I think it was like a very it's like very, intertwined with like my coming of age kind of story.
Yeah.
I think my biggest challenge is that I was also like kind of coming of age at that point. So there was just like a lot of, new challenges. So I haven't said where I went. I went to the University of Arkansas. So I ended up going to a different state. I live in the DMV right now on the East Coast. So, I ended up going to a different state. That was the first time that I like traveled away from my like home and family and all that jazz. So that probably was the biggest challenge, was just kind of like, and of course, like I'm leaving home. I'm not in like the dorm setting. This is my first time like actually living alone and, having to figure stuff out, like having a flat tire and having to use the resources around me to like solve that. But, like, not just being able to call my dad and be like, hey, come get your car. Right. I know your grandchild car. Like, I know, and get them together. Like, so just like, so I feel like, honestly, I think that was just like a big challenge, which just like, of course, there's that element of like growing up and kind of like being in this space for myself. But I'd also say, I think too, just like kind of that confidence, like as you kind of saying in your part, Mom, like becoming a subject matter expert. I think like just trying to break past that I don't know, confidence barrier to like, to be just be confident in what I'm talking about. And, I think that was like a really big challenge, and just to, really continue to see myself like, okay, I'm capable, and like, oh, you're a doctor. And like, I know like, and I sometimes talk to like, other, like when I had like students under me and stuff, like I would sometimes, talk to them about that. But I think we would probably bring it up again, like imposter syndrome and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just feeling like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, and I don't know if I'm like, if I know as much as I think I know, or like if I'm kind of like worthy to be like pushing this topic. So I think just really getting past that, or even like the feeling of like, I know I used to feel like a little insecure because I'm like, oh, I'm at the University of Arkansas. I'm not like at a big one of them crazy schools that cost money and still gives you a doctorate. Who's that? We're just, but I had like those type of insecurities, and like, oh, I'm pursuing an experimental psychology, like cognitive psychology. Like, is that as, good? Should I be trying to see patients instead and stuff like that? So there was just like so many like areas where like insecurity would kind of bubble through. And like, and again, I do think that kind of coincides with like in your 20s, trying to figure out who you are, accepting that like, this is the path I'm taking and I'm at peace with this path. So I don't know if that was purely the PhD program or just kind of like a combination of the two, but I think that was like one of the biggest challenges, is just, really getting that confidence in myself. And I do think that I have overcome that challenge, and I'm grateful for it. So again, that's, the flip side of that was like my greatest, like one of my most favorite thing from getting a PhD is that it did make me more confident. And, eventually I got to a space of just kind of like being able to kind of shut down those thoughts, because I had to in order to progress. So like, it was excellent practice for shutting down thoughts of self-doubt, because like you have like a huge dissertation you need to write, and you need to go it's like, and you're gonna be the one to do it. And then these undergrads are looking at you like you're just like, hey, you got the answers. It's like, I guess I do. Like, I know, like
I got an answer.
Something for you, I'll help.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest challenge for me. And yeah, I'm gonna have to practice, pass it over to Dr. Montgomery. What do you think was your greatest challenge?
The greatest challenge is, again, coming from the streets of Philadelphia. And one of the things when I was going through my undergrad, we had to sing Ebonics, right? Mm-hmm. And they were trying to pass that off as being acceptable for African American culture, Black folks. So I had, one professor, and she actually ended up on my dissertation team because she's the only person who would not allow me to write as I speak. And she would tell me that all the time, like, you write the way you speak, da 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 da. And so she never gave up on me, and I literally found her 30 years later. She ended up on my dissertation team. But the hardest challenge was transitioning over from a clinical perspective, writing as a clinician, to writing as a researcher. And so one of the persons on my dissertation team, he talks like the things that you read in journal articles, like that's the way he talks. And so his writing kind of matched that. So, that was really difficult for me to make that transition, because when I would read something and I would think through it and I want to put, word to paper, I often thought as, I'm evaluating or I'm assessing something and I'm writing it as a clinician would write it. And so I had to really work hard at transitioning over from that. But now, and I realized that it was always in me, that I've always been a writer. I just didn't know that I was a writer. And again, when you have someone see something in you and they don't let up and they push, it was really difficult. It was really hard. I was angry a lot. I never showed it. I never talked about it. I just kept pushing. And once I got over that hump to see that, no, I can do this. I am equipped for this. And I'm supposed to do this. Then that was the hardest part, right?
Wow. So the writing part was the hardest for you?
The hardest.
Yeah. It's funny. I think So I think, first of all, Dr. Nia, that insecurity was there for me the entire time. Like, I remember mornings just walking, like 3 o'clock in the morning, just walking around the island in the kitchen, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this to myself? Because I mean, I would read stuff. Fun fact, I really learned that I had, of all the years of education, I learned that I had a real problem with comprehension. And it wasn't until I got into my PhD program that I really recognized that, because I would have to read like hundreds of pages over a short amount of time, not just read it, understand it, right? Be able to digest it and then express it and then find my own opinion in it. And that was the hardest thing in the world. Like, I would read stuff, literally be like page 3 into something, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm reading. Like, not only do I not know what I'm reading, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I don't feel like I have the bandwidth to even like have a difference of opinion about it, and then to trust my opinion enough to share it with others. So that was like the biggest challenge, just that the huge insecurity of being there. And I think it really panned out as I was writing my dissertation. And I would say, without question, chapter 2 almost took me out. That literature review, my dissertation chair was lit, because I literally, I think I spent like the majority of my time writing my dissertation during the literature review. Like, probably 80% of my writing, or 80% of my dissertation time was the literature review, because I didn't know how to get out of it. Like, there was always another book to read, another article to consider, another. And my chair literally was like, okay, Kwanza, like, just bring it home.
It's not good for a philosopher.
What he say exactly? He's like, the best. When they say the best dissertation is a complete dissertation, right? And so that was like the hardest part for me, was just coming out of that. But once I got out of it and really considered everything that I wanted to consider, it was so beautiful to write. And so yeah, that was the hardest part, the confidence, and then that chapter 2, that literature review. Woo, that was a doozy. So I think those are the only questions that we wanted to talk to. But Dr. Nee, I know you're going to help us with the ending segment before we do our outro.
Yeah, and I know almost at the end of time too. So
yeah,
for this one, again, this could be a little wonky because we were kind of just talking about our introducing who we are. So like, I guess when you think of this thesis statement, like if someone was to like listen to this, I don't know, I would only listen to this ending part, what would be like your big takeaway? And again, it is going to be wonky. So I will start. Feel free to ignore the way that I started, because this might just be a weird thesis, because I don't know what my arguments were for today.
right.
But I think ultimately, my thesis is just that this podcast is going to be a comfy, cozy place where, I get to connect with my family members, and I'm excited to learn from all of you. This is not really a thesis statement anymore, but I am just excited to learn from you guys. Already, like, I didn't realize, I don't know, I guess I never knew, like, asked you guys these questions. So I didn't even know why you guys were PhD. So I was like kind of shocked. I thought I would kind of know everything and I wouldn't be learning anything. So I think that's my big takeaway, is just that, I'm going to learn a lot during this podcast, and I'm really going to get closer to you guys, and I'm just looking forward to it. So that was really a great thesis, but that's my takeaway.
What about you, Doc?
Pretty much, like my mouth kept like, oh my gosh, wow. And growing up, Dr. Kwanza and I, we spent a lot of time together. Our family were like brother and sister, cousins. We were so close, and very interconnected. So we did everything together. We were always together. And just to be adults and kind of hear your experience and your journey, as an adult, get into your PhD, your doctorate, and I'm like, oh wow, right. And I know I probably share some things that you never heard before either, because it's not things that we talk about, we hold, right? And so my thesis would be, who are you and how did you become? And just, I think we are going to learn something about each other in this experience as we, share with others and come together to give to our viewers and our listeners. And I just want, to encourage everybody to kind of look and explore their own identities, their experiences, and their journey that help to shape who they are and who they're becoming.
I love that. And similarly, I love that my mind was like all over everything you guys were saying. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think ultimately my thesis statement, and I'll say not just for this show, but for future shows as well, is that everything that we need, every experience that we've had, every opportunity that we have, and those that will come, we are already prepared to crush it. And so we can just remember that we have everything that we need. And that may sound cliche, but we have everything that we need to accomplish everything that our hearts desires, but not only the things that our heart desire, but also the things that we are purposed to fulfill and purposed to do. And I believe without question that this podcast is purposed, and that God has something that is going to elevate each of us and elevate our listeners if they dare to open their hearts and their minds to receive it. And I'm excited about that. I'm not going to look at Dr. Nia as Dr. Baby Girl. She is a colleague and a peer in this space, and I'm open to learning from you. Same with Dr. Montgomery. I'm not going to look at her as my little baby cousin, but she is a colleague and a peer in this space, and I'm excited to learn from you as well. And also our audience, because when they start sending in questions and presenting different topics for us to talk through, and as we introduce different topics in this space, I think it's just going to be just a full circle for everybody that get to hear it. And I'm excited about that. I think we're all excited about it. Yeah. And so we're going to do this podcast probably, I think we've decided on, I think the third Thursday of every month. And this one's a little off because our schedules are the third Sunday. I'm sorry. I'm back in my old girlfriend therapy days. Thursday, the third Sunday of every month. But we're flexible because we are all busy. We all do have lives that are quite demanding. But we have some great topics lined up, and I'm excited to just learn and grow from each other. But we'll do it the third Sunday of the month, preferably. And yeah, we'll try to stick around just under an hour, 45 minutes to 45 to 60 minutes. Like we'll try to stay in that space. But hey, we're going to be flexible. So hopefully you guys are flexible with us. Even if you have to listen to us in two-part, we'll be a great, riding down the road into and from work, listening to Doctor.
Doctor. I know, I love it.
Yes, but this I think was a great first show. Thank you guys. I'm excited to this journey with you guys. Thank you for those who are listening. You can follow us on social media. I'm going to try and drop. All of us are on social media. Dr. Nia, I think I need your social media. Hey, Dr. Montgomery, is this? So I just have for me, Dr. Kwanza at Girlfriend Therapy Inc. And I think you can find me on IG, and then Dr. K Locked in Gray. As you guys can say, I am locked in gray, or as you can see, I am locked in gray. And on that page, I just share a lot of stuff about hair and fashion and stuff. But Girlfriend Therapy Inc. On IG or Dr. K Locked in Gray, you can follow me there. And Dr. Montgomery, I think I pulled something for you. Is this correct? Like Dr. Bridget Montgomery LLC. Is that good?
Yes. I didn't pull up my other page just yet, but for now.
Okay. And for now, I think this is a good place. You can follow us on all social media platforms. And as we evolve and, probably build some things that's a little more focused in this space, then, we'll certainly upgrade those contacts. But definitely follow us on all social media platforms. Yeah. Dr. Nia, do you have, excuse me, I didn't know if you had your.
Oh, I'm dramatic right now. I'm on a social media.
That's why I didn't share it.
When I'm back, I will let you know where to follow me. But right now, I cannot handle it.
Yes, but be sure to follow us. We'll also have more information about the channel. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're building all those things, and we're just building, guys. So we're excited about the future of Doctor podcast and the future of where we're going. So Thank you guys for joining us. And until next time, keep your mind sharp, your hearts open, and your souls curious. Love you guys.
Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.